Okay, so this is easily one of my favorite e-bikes that I've reviewed so far. This is coming from the Electric Bike Company, and the base of this bike is their Model Y bike that they do sell. But this is a special limited edition version of that bike, a part of their Project Beautiful thing that they're doing. So basically, Project Beautiful means that this company is using some really cool custom paint jobs for some of their bikes, and the colors for these paint jobs are based off of the first women's Tour de France that happened and some of the uniforms that the ladies wore throughout the race. So this one is, again, their Model Y version, but this is called Twisted Guava, and that's because the paint on this is color changing depending on how the light hits it, and it's so slick. And it's going to be very hard for you to get the full 100% feel of how this thing looks in person because I'm showing you through my camera, but I will tell you that the base color of it looks purple, but when light starts to hit it, it starts to change colors between orange and also green and stuff. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, shiny looking color that, look, I get a lot of e-bikes that people say, hey, that's a cool looking bike, but this is one that people were taking the time to walk up and just really admire the paint color. And this color is everywhere. So on the front fork, also the main frame of the bike, and also on the rear rack and all of the the mounting points for that. And even inside of the included front basket, the mesh on the inside of the basket still has this Twisted Guava paint job. It's a really special little touch that I didn't notice it at first, but it's cool that they really just put this paint everywhere that they could on this bike. So yeah, this paint job is sick, but they also have some different paint jobs for some of their other bikes, a part of this Project Beautiful thing. So they have one that looks like really rainbow color and some other cool looking ones. So definitely you have your pick of the litter here, but this is the one that I went with and it looks so good. But also helping complete the look is going to be the brown that's scattered on this bike. So you have some brown vegan leather hand grips that feel excellent. I love the stitching on them. And you also have the logo there for the company and also some lettering on it. A very, very nice touch. And then also you do have a leather seat here, a brown saddle that is super comfortable, by the way. One of the best, if not the best, stock seats that I've used on an e-bike. Really good for my big butt, but it'll be great for a lot of people. But my favorite brown on this bike is going to be the front and rear fenders because this company uses real wood for the fenders on this particular bike, and they are made out of maple and walnut, so a combination of those two, and they look really slick. They have this really nice gloss finish on them, and they make the fenders in-house, and you can tell that they really paid a lot of attention to detail with them. Now, one issue that I did think that I would have with the fenders is because the bike rack on the back of my car, it basically puts pressure on the top of the tires to be able to secure the tires in place. And because the rear fender is longer than the front one, I had to put pressure on those fenders, and I thought it might be an issue because they are a little bit rigid, but I was able to get it done and I had no issues, and especially because I did use some little styrofoam protectors on my bike rack, so I didn't scratch up the wood. But that was one concern I had, but I've been able to go and ride it with this bike on the back of my car with no problems. Oh, and before I forget, the kickstand sometimes gets interfered with the left pedal. So if you have the pedal like this, or you're like moving the bike around backwards and stuff, sometimes it can interfere like that, and then the pedal will get stuck and you can't move the bike unless you unstuck it or unstick it from the kickstand. So it's a little annoying, doesn't happen all the time, but yeah, that's something that you should be aware of. And oh, you know what? I almost forgot a little bit of extra brown on this bike, and that's coming with the 26-inch Swabi tires that you do have. And these tires have a brown finish to them with a white sidewall, and they look really slick. So that brown in the tires with the rest of the brown on this bike with this cool paint job makes this one of my favorite colors, paint jobs, e-bike designs, all that stuff combined, because this thing just really shines and stands out from everything else. Now, another thing that is different from this Project Beautiful version of their Model Y bike versus their regular version is the fact that this comes by default with their new technology package. And so this package includes 2 headlights on the front basket, and so you have high and low beam options depending on how much light that you do need, and they're very nicely mounted on the front basket. And the headlights also function with the automatic light sensor that comes with this package, so it can automatically sense the dimming light outside if you are riding and it's starting to get dark, and automatically turn themselves on. And then also you do get brake lights on the back underneath the seat, and so these brake lights are going to be plenty bright, and also if you already have the headlights on, the brake lights will be also on by default, but when you press down on the brakes, they'll brighten up a little bit more. And they also integrated a tail light in the rear rack, so it's built in right into the frame, and it looks really nice. And even though it's not a brake light, so when you press on the brakes nothing happens, it still is a very nice touch. And then you also get turn signals integrated in the brake lights, and on the left hand side of the handlebars you will have controls to be able to activate those turn signals. Now, I do wish that the turn signals actually made a sound so you get get that audible sound to know that you left them on after you made a turn, but maybe in the next version, but it's good to have those turn signals. And next to the controls for the turn signals, you will also find the button for the electronic horn. And so that's the upgraded technology package, but some other bonus things that you get include a built-in alarm system. And so you get 2 keys inside of the box with this bike, and you can lock it just like this. And then you can also unlock it like this. Now, when you do lock it, like so, and someone goes to move or pick up your bike, you'll start to hear this. And then now I can hit the lock button to go ahead and stop it. And so I don't know if you can tell, but it is really, really loud. It gets people attention when it does go off. So I love having that built in. Oh, and with the rear rack, the company already installed this MIK system, or MIK, and basically it stands for mounting is key. And this basically is like a bracket system that you can attach on a certain bag, or you can buy bags with it already installed, like this one. And now you can easily snap on a bag or another accessory on the rear rack. And then you can also easily lock it with this little key that comes with these bags. And then you can also just easily unlock it and take it off inside with you if you want to pack a bag before you go on your trip. So you can bring it inside, pack it, and then easily put it on the back of the bike. So I love this system. It needs to be on every e-bike. Then you also get a big, bright, and colorful LCD display here right in the middle of the handlebars. It looks really good, gives you a lot of information on there, and I really love the design of how they have everything laid out there. Oh, and this screen can also show you the weather, which is useful, and I did hold up my iPhone next to it, and it was close. It was pretty accurate within a couple of degrees, so it's really nice to be able to have that information front and center. And also on the side of the display, you will find a USB Type-A port, so you can charge your phone if you wanted to while you are riding. And then also on the right-hand side of the handlebars, you will find a very comfortable thumb throttle. Now, some of you might be wondering, where is the battery? Because it doesn't look like you can put the battery in the frame of this bike. It's not in the back of the bike. Where is it? Well, it's basically hiding in plain sight because it's actually in the bottom of the front basket. But even with this battery in the bottom of the basket, you still have plenty of space on the top to be able to throw some bags in and stuff. But I think it's a really cool way to kind of incorporate the battery inside of the bike. But this battery is only rated for up to 40 miles. So this isn't going to be a range champion, but 40 miles will be plenty for kind of cruising around and stuff. But if you are looking to take this thing out all day long and just really ride everywhere, you're going to have to be a little bit cautious of that. And one other downside with the battery being installed in the basket is the fact that the basket isn't easily removable. If you need to take it off for maintenance reasons or whatever, you can get some tools to do it. But for day-to-day charging, you're going to need to either bring the entire bike inside with you to charge it, or leave it out in your garage and have it close to the outlet. So if you do want to ride this to work or your office or something and then take the battery inside and charge it and then go back down to where you have it kind of locked up, you can't do that with this bike. You're gonna have to carry the entire bike with you. And these are the controls for the battery, so you can easily turn them on and off with this red button that does have some kind of like sealing around it to keep it protected in the weather. And then also you do have a little port here at the bottom where you can plug in the charging cable. And this does come with a supercharger that will get the battery charged from 0 to 100 in 3 to 4 hours. But no matter what, this allows this bike to have a super clean look, along with the fantastic cable management, with most of these cables being internally routed through the frame of the bike. And also the fact that this bike is made and assembled here in the USA, which is fantastic. And they even give you a little card to let you know who actually put your bike together. So that's a nice touch. And let's talk about the delivery and assembly process right now, because that's a big part of this bike, because it comes to you practically fully assembled. So they ship it in a box that's going to be reinforced, and it's going to be very tough against being knocked around and stuff. And they don't just put this with, UPS and FedEx next to your Amazon deliveries. They actually use delivery companies, and when it gets to your city, that delivery company will actually contact you to be able to arrange delivery, because this thing comes in a big box on a pallet. And once you pull it out of the box, you'll see that the only thing you really need to do is just to be able to put the handlebars in position. And then once you get them in a good position for you, you just tighten down the screws and the bolts and stuff. And then now you're practically ready to go. The tires are already inflated and stuff. Now you can go ahead and start riding. And so yeah, this is easily the best assembly and delivery process for any e-bike that I've reviewed so far. And all right, so now let's go for a ride. So I'm just using the throttle right now for that kind of kick start. Not a super fast start, but also it is smooth though. So it's a pretty good start overall. And the direct drive rear hub motor on this bike comes in at 500 watts and it peaks at 1,000 watts. So when you're looking at over $3,000 500 watts definitely is not going to impress a lot of people, but this company really wants this bike to stay within the legal regulations. So it does ship to you as a class 2 electric bike, meaning that it can go 20 miles per hour using pedal assist or the throttle, but you can easily unlock it to be able to go up to 28 miles per hour using pedal assist. So as long as you know that going into it, that this isn't going to be like a super fast, electric motorcycle or anything like that when you unlock it, I think people will be fine with the cruising speed. But even with that said, personally, I want to see this bumped up to at least 750 watts to give me a little bit extra power, because that peak output could be a little bit more as well. And that would just make it a little bit easier when it goes to riding around in different situations. Now let's go off-road a little bit here. This is not really super off-roading, but this bike only has a front suspension system, so you don't get any rear suspension, but it does have 80 millimeters of travel. So if you do need to go off-road a little bit or get a little bit bumpy, it's not going to be too bad. Now, the company does sell 2 different types of suspension seat posts that you can buy on their website, but you can always add that on later for yourself. But one advantage that this bike does have is the fact that the seat, as I mentioned before, is still super comfortable, really good. So even if you don't add those things, you still should have a relatively good, smooth ride, especially on pavement and different smooth surfaces like that. And something else I do want to mention is the warranties for this bike are really good, because you get a 10-year warranty for the motor and a 5-year warranty for the battery. So that's really good. It's kind of unheard of when it comes to electric bikes. So if you want a little bit of peace of mind as far as like having these parts kind of last a little bit longer, this company does have you covered. But overall, the ride is really good. I feel very in control. And as I come to a stop here, no, I'm not going across these rocks. I love these wide handlebars too. So these are kind of, cruiser style handlebars that I think they're around like 26 inches apart or so. So your hands are going to be a little bit wide, but this allows for that kind of just beach cruiser type of feel that I love that you get with their bikes. Now, I do have a couple of gripes with the bike. The first one being that when you do turn it on, you always have to enable pedal assist because it's off by default. So to do that, you just hold on the bottom arrow button for a few seconds and then it will turn on. So I wish that was always on by default. I don't know why they do that, but that's just one of the gripes. Oh, and this bike comes with a direct single speed drivetrain. So you don't get the typical 7-speed shifter controls like you find on most e-bikes. So this means that when you are going up super steep hills, you're going to really have to rely on that pedal assist and that motor helping you get up those hills. Now, this does have a pretty big chain ring here that does a good job at allowing the pedaling to feel very, comfortable and natural. But for me in St. Louis, we don't have a lot of super steep hills, so I never found that this was an issue. Now, I do know that on their regular Model Y versions of this bike, you can upgrade to a 7-speed drivetrain, but on this one, on the product page for the Twisted Guava Project Beautiful version, I don't see that option to upgrade. So you might want to reach out to the company first and see if you can do that, or hopefully they'll leave a comment on this video and let us know if you do have that option. And so look, I'm liking this bike because it is a change of pace with e-bikes, because they put a lot of attention to detail with the paint job, the technology package, the fit and finish of this bike. The assembly delivery process is super good. You also get that 10-year warranty with the motor, and this company feels like it's going to be around for a while. And that's one of the concerns that I think a lot of people have with e-bike companies that aren't based in the US, or they might be kind of like startups and stuff. I think this company has been around since like 2014 or something like that. And so look, there's no way I can promise that this company will be here 10 years from now, but I feel very confident in recommending this company because of what they've done so far and everything as far as their kind of their fit and finish with the company and the bikes themselves that really make me very confident to recommend this bike to people. So for $32.99, it's up there in price, but again, you can get the regular version of this Model Y for $2,000, and you can always upgrade different things like adding different fenders and also the technology package if you want that extra stuff. But at the base model of this bike, it's going to be a really good bike too. And they also have this color customizer that you can do to be able to change up the paint job on all of their bikes practically. So you're not going to get something cool like this, but you can get some different color combinations to make your bike more unique and more personalized. But yeah, with that, this wraps up my review here. It's starting to get cold right now, so this is going to be one of my last e-bike reviews I do over the winter, but I wanted to get this one in because it's so cool. So let me know your thoughts about this bike, especially the paint job, down below in the comments. And I want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.